So my name is Hamish Reed, president of DK Pool Club, and I also work quite extensively in the music festival scene.
Yes. So you've got a lot of experience with running events, especially. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Events are very highly stressful, I would say, but a lot of work and preparation goes into the before of the event, as well as during the event and after. So yeah, it's about obviously marketing, making sure people turn up, making sure you're presenting the right party for the right people, knowing your target audience, and trying to maximize on what they want out of it, because you can't just be throwing yourself a party. It has to be for the people who would go to the party.
Yeah. And so what kind of roles have you played in the music festival scene?
So I've worked sort of almost as a contractor. So I've worked for a glamping company, so building and setting up tents before music festivals, packing them up afterwards. It's a cool insight into the scene without having to be too organized. Where I've also done artist liaison, and so that's a lot of that is getting artists on stage at the right time. Everyone's on radios, everyone's on different channels, and yeah, it's a lot of running around. It feels really disorganized because you're solving a lot of problems really quickly, but in the grand scheme of it, when you look back, you're actually it wasn't that big of a drama. But because it's so highly intense, you're working 18-hour days, you've got to be running a green room the whole time. Music doesn't stop at a lot of these festivals, so it's continuous work, but it's really rewarding.
Yeah. So how much prep do you think goes into we've already got the planning set up, but when you go to the actual venue and start setting up, how much prep actually goes into that sort of stuff?
So, it depends on the scale of the event. Stuff I do in Bathurst, sometimes I can be pretty slack with it, pretty unorganized. But generally I need at least a week of thinking about it in my head, what's going to work, how we're going to make it different, because every time you throw a party, I always feel it should be different. It shouldn't be walking into the same pub and going, I go here every week. It should be, oh my god, this space is transformed. So the music has to fit that, the decorations has to fit that, and just a general atmosphere has to fit that. You've got to be weather conscious. Can't throw a beach party in the middle of winter. So there's a lot of forethought that goes into it, and sometimes you hit the mark, sometimes you don't. You just have to learn from the previous one to keep going.
Yeah. And so you've obviously been a part of a lot of festivals. Can you tell me a time when something worked really well and it was a really successful event?
One of my favorite festivals actually is a festival called Gay Times, and so it's relatively small. It's about 1,000, 2,000 people, and I went to it kind of early in my festival sort of going years, and it was just this amazing community that was so incredibly inviting, and everyone there just felt so welcome. I remember speaking to this one person who has had a lot of issues with their gender and was really, really self-conscious, 18, you imagine your mainstream music festival and they would not have fit in, they would have felt so uncomfortable, but at the end of this weekend they just thrived. And a lot of people see festivals and they go, it's just an excuse to go out and get fucked up and have fun, but it is community. In the modern age that we live in, it's very hard for us to have big experiences with lots of people, and that for me is why people should attend them, and it's why they're so important.
Yeah. And so how do you think festivals are successful in building communities? Is it the kind of activities they have? Is it the music?
It's definitely a lot of the music's what brings a lot of people there, but on top of that, it's organization of everything. So it's whether it be safe spaces, whether it be artistic explorations or talks or stuff, even a lot of doofs. It's so much about the staging, so how it looks, the actual environment that you're in is such a big thing, the location. So those kind of all come together to create this sort of community. And the community exists even before the event happens. And there's so much hype, people are so excited about it, and social media plays a big part in that. But it's really about creating that environment that's perfect for your target audience.
Yeah. And then so kind of the opposite, are there some certain traps that a lot of events can fall into?
A lot of traps I think fall into the event, the trap of thinking the artist will do everything, or thinking the location will do everything. So if you focus too heavily on one aspect of it, I went to this festival, Pitch. It's amazing, probably one of Australia's best electronic techno festivals, and it's amazing, so cool, really far out place. But some of the DJs are, seen as so highly amazing, incredible, but they come and they underperform.
Yeah.
And you've spent so much money and people have so much hype around them, and they can just be a letdown.
Yeah.
So by making sure, and like, I love Pitch kills it, but there's always one or two artists that have all this hype, and then it goes, oh, actually, it wasn't as good as it should have been. So making sure your talent matches your brand and stuff is really important, and yeah, that's kind of one disadvantage, I think.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.